See how the Prime Minister handles tonight. It has been a big few weeks for her. A lot of pressure at COAG, particularly over her signature school funding reforms. But the PM is here now at the Burvale Hotel. She's alongside David Spears. Let's get the forum underway. David, over to you.
Kieran, thank you very much. Hello and welcome to everyone here at the Burvale Hotel and those watching elsewhere. Welcome to the Sky News Herald Sun People's Forum, and please make welcome to the most marginal electorate in the country, Deakin. It's held by Labor on a margin of just under 1%, one of those very important seats for Labor to try and hold in this upcoming election. Now, the Prime Minister has agreed to take questions on all sorts of issues. Whatever you've got in those questions we'll find out right now, because we're going to get into them very shortly. First, I'll just invite the Prime Minister to make a few opening remarks.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you to everybody for coming along tonight. I was actually here in Deakin with our Labor member here, Mike Simon, who's just over at the side here, last Wednesday for a community cabinet, which was an opportunity for community members to come along and to ask any question that they wanted to, and we're doing the same tonight. This is your opportunity to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. What I found at that community...
To see how the Prime Minister handles tonight. It has been a big few weeks for her. A lot of pressure at COAG, particularly over her signature school funding reforms. But the PM is here now at the Burvale Hotel. She's alongside David Spears. Let's get the forum underway. David, over to you.
Kieran, thank you very much. Hello and welcome to everyone here at the Burvale Hotel and those watching elsewhere. Welcome to the Sky News Herald Sun People's Forum, and please make welcome Prime Minister Gillard. Last week, Opposition Leader Tony Abbott attended one of these People's Forums with us in Geelong, in the most marginal electorate in the country, Corangamite. We are here in the second most marginal electorate in the country, Deakin. It's held by Labor on a margin of just under 1%, one of those very important seats for Labor to try and hold in this upcoming election. Now, the Prime Minister has agreed to take questions on all sorts of issues, whatever you've got in mind this evening, so we can't tell. The Prime Minister doesn't know what those questions will be. We'll find out right now, because we're going to get into them very shortly. First, I'll just invite the Prime Minister to make a few opening remarks.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you to everybody for coming along tonight. I was actually here in Deakin with our Labor member here, Mike Simon, who's just over at the side here, last Wednesday for a community cabinet, which was an opportunity for community members to come along and to ask any question that they wanted to, and we're doing the same tonight. This is your opportunity to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. What I found at that community cabinet, and what I went away thinking, is that there were lots of issues on people's minds, but there was a really strong sense of community and pride in community here, and I'm sure a lot of that's going to show tonight. I don't know what you're going to ask. I suspect some people are going to ask about jobs, some are going to ask about health, some are going to ask about education. I just briefly wanted to explain what we've been working on as a government, and then it's over to you. First and foremost, we've been working to keep our economy strong during what has been a very difficult period for the world economy, the global financial crisis. And that's required all of us to work together, and I think we should be pretty proud that as a country we've managed to have been lost around the world. It hasn't been easy, but that's been an achievement. What that means is we can now look out and build for the future, and I think this is a really interesting and indeed full of opportunity time in our history. We live in the region of the world that's going to see the most economic growth, and I want to make sure that we get that strength and we bring it home here in Australia to this electorate, to every part of the country. To do that, the future doesn't just shape itself, it's never assured, you've got to build it. We've been working on building that future of strength and prosperity, making sure we're ready for it by investing in infrastructure, the traditional kind, as well as the new infrastructure like the NBN, working on it by building a clean energy future, working on it by developing our nation's skills, including having more apprenticeships out there than ever before, working on it too by now focusing on the quality of our schools, something I am very determined to make a difference to, because I want every child to get a great education, to reach their potential, to be able to get one of those high-skill, high-paid jobs in the future. And if we can keep our economy strong, it means that there are opportunities to share, and we can also finance the things that are important to all of us. Disability care, that if something happened to us or to a family member in the future, that they would get the care and support they need. Happy to take this home.
I'm retired, joined the many enlightened countries of the world to legislate for all their adult citizens to have equal right of marriage. Can you explain what prevents your government now from following their lead and grasping the nettle, reinforcing Australia's image as a country of a fair go for all?
Thanks for your question, and this is a debate that I think the nation's been very focused on for the last few years, but it has got a new impetus now because, you know, we hate it when New Zealand does something in front of us, let's be frank. So that's brought it back onto the national agenda in a big way, not that it ever really left. What we're doing is, you know, I've got a view about this and my view's pretty well known, but I'm not seeking to impose my view on anybody else. We have a conscience vote on the Labor side of politics. What the New Zealanders managed to do was have a conscience vote across their parliament. So Prime Minister Key, John Key, he's a Conservative, but his political party had a conscience vote. We need to see that across all of the political parties in the Australian Parliament, because it's only that, I think, that is ever going to be able to assure people that the Australian Parliament is dealing with this, with people voting in accordance with their beliefs. So we've got there for the Labor side of politics. I hope the other side of politics gets there too. And then whatever the outcome, at least you know, whoever you sent to Parliament, they're voting in accordance with their conscience, and that can obviously be informed talking to their local community.
PM, can I just ask, why do you personally oppose same-sex marriage?
Well, I do know that when people look at me, they think maybe that's a pretty eccentric view for someone like me to have, because as people know, I'm not a religious person, so it's not a religious reason. For me, I've always thought that our nation and its traditions, we inherit and keep some that have been forged over time, and then we add to them new ones that we develop and purpose create, and they guide us for the future. And I have thought in this area that we should develop and purpose create something new that guides us for the future, so that there would be marriage in its very traditional form, and then there would be other ways of recognising relationships which are full of love and full of significance. But I know a lot of people don't agree with that view.
All right. Bernard, I think you might be one of them, but thank you for that question. Let's get to our next question.
My name's Kevin, and I'm a university student. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for coming out tonight and providing us the opportunity to ask the questions that matter to us. My question is, the government has recently announced $2.3 billion funding cut to universities to help fund the Gonski reforms. If indeed the Gonski reforms does help provide a better primary and secondary education, will these same students not go on to receive an inferior university education? And secondly, Dr. Anderson has recently stated that we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to, getting a bit nervous, once-in-a-generation opportunity to make sure that every young child in Australia receives a high-quality education. So does this liberty not extend to university students also? It appears from my perspective that you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.